Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What up? What up? What up, guys? How are you? Mm-hmm. What up? What up? What up? What's wrong, Jason? What's the problem, brother? I think the Lakers. I think the Lakers can handle them. The Blazers haven't been playing good lately. The Lakers have been playing bad without James in the lineup, but uh, that that Blazers team hasn't been playing good at all. Not really, sir. I'm not surprised at all because the Warriors have always had they've always had a good defense. Always. What's up, Mark? How you doing, brother? That's going to be a good one tonight too, Darrell. I'm definitely going to be watching this, no doubt. No, he hasn't been. If that's your homeboy, y'all will work it out, no doubt. You'll definitely work it out. Dang, what's up? Thank you, Instincts. That was dope. Hello, Jillian dear. How are you? Running good, Cade. Running good. How you holding up, brother? Hmm. Curry is currently playing the best. Is he the best player in the league? Let's. I don't know if I'll go that far, but he might be playing the best right now. Hmm. Yuka, what's up? No, I didn't play it for them. I worked the I used to ref college basketball, and I ref the game there once. I did Fordham and did a scrimmage between Fordham and Bloomfield Tech, and they gave us those shirts, and I was like, thanks. So I started rocking. Dave, Dave, Dave. I think they got bigger problems than that, and the reason why I say that is because when I look at that Blazer team, what's up, Mr. Jackson? How you doing, brother? Thank you very much. I appreciate you. I think Dave, they got way bigger problems than that, man. That Blazers team looked like the same Blazers team from 3 years ago. It looked like the same team, only except everybody else got better. I am too. I'm impressed with the Cavs. I love what they're doing. Yes, sir. The team that I think is underperforming right now, Milwaukee, and that's due to them being injured. Um, Dallas, I think they're underperforming. Um, the Trailblazers, which as much as I think that they're underperforming, I mean, I had this conversation not too long ago. This was before the season started. I'm pretty sure that you guys were around when I said that I wouldn't be surprised if the Trailblazers didn't make the playoffs. That wouldn't surprise me one bit. Mm-mm. if they did not make the playoffs. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Boston is also underperforming. I thought that they would be a lot better than what they are right now. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, Jillian. Boston they're looking super whack lately. Even though they came down here and handled Miami, they did do that. I was really surprised about that. How they handled Miami. They absolutely did that. I like Simons, man. I think he's a good young player. I think playing behind Dame is good for him. I don't know exactly what the plan is with Dame in terms of moving forward. And if they decide to move forward and move Dame, I think that they can build that team around him. I think he's a piece that they can build around. I don't know if he's a franchise player, but I do think that. Hmm. Yeah, I think it's not only is it a rough start, Fabian. We just he just looks at a source. He looks at a sink. He looks like he doesn't really know exactly what it is he's doing. It he hasn't adjusted to Jaylen Brown coming back the way Jaylen Brown has come back with reckless abandon. He is not playing around. So and he's not adjusting to that. He hasn't adjusted to that at all. Well, I'm going to catch the Jazz Heat game tonight. I'm going to catch a little bit of that Lakers Blazers game. Hmm, that's a good one. That's pretty interesting too, Dave. When the starting backcourt, the backups are actually playing better than the starting backcourt. That's incredible. I picked Evan Mobley. I'm sticking with Evan Mobley. Absolutely. No, I don't like that trade, Mark. And the reason why I don't like that trade is because I don't want Davion Mitchell in Chicago. I want him somewhere where he's gonna play. He's not playing in Chicago. I want him somewhere where he's gonna play immediately and often. I don't like him in Chicago. Mm-mm. Yeah, we get into the Scottie Pippen thing all the time. I love Scotty Barnes. Mm-hmm. I may have to close this window because I got a little bit of noise going on. Excuse me for 1 second, guys. Let me dead this noise real quick. My fault. Yeah, I do not have a dog. I didn't watch the Cavs Raptors. I caught the highlights, but it looked like it was a really good game. It looked like a game that I would have definitely liked to have seen. It looked really good, really good. Maybe Garland and I don't know if Garland and Sexton is going to work long term, but they actually look good together. That's actually that noise. That was the kids playing outside. I don't know if he can make the All League defensive team this year, Andrew, but I think that this kid Mobley, he might be a franchise player. He might be. You might have your franchise player in him. You might have the guy that we're looking to build around him. He might be that guy because that's what this is all about. When you're a team like Cleveland, like Toronto, like New Orleans, you got to get a friend. You got to get who are we building this thing around? And I think he might be that guy that, we building it around him. So James Harden is struggling mightily with the rule changes. No doubt. You can take that to the bank, Darrell. That's not your opinion. That's a fact. You got people who talk to me and tell me that I hate Bryant, which is ridiculous because I don't hate the guy. Yeah, Jillian, I'm not paying attention to that. Yo, he hasn't even gotten started yet. We don't know who this kid is. We don't know what he's doing. He hasn't even been in the lineup. I think yesterday was his first game back. So we don't even know who this kid is yet. They said the same thing about Jamal Chase in Cincinnati, and he having the best rookie season of any wide receiver in NFL history. So I ain't listening to that. Mm. Hey, Jersey Deep, listen, man. This kid, Shea Alexander, I think he's a franchise point guard. I just think that Oklahoma City got to do a better job in building that thing around him. I think one of the things Doc woos the day when he had to hand over Shea, because I think Doc looked at Shea like he could have developed him into an all-league point guard, and I still think Shea's going to turn into that. And I understand why Doc had to hand him over. He got Leonard in return, and he also got Paul George. So I understand why he did it. However, if there was any other way he could have kept Shea, he would have absolutely done that, no doubt. I can't really put my finger on what the Lakers are doing with this Oklahoma City team. It reminds me of the Yankees uh, in the late 2000s when they were smoking everybody else, but they would get mopped by Tampa, who was losing 100 games a year. You're like, why can't y'all beat these dudes? What's the problem? I don't get it. Mm-hmm. I don't really watch the UFC. I'm not a UFC guy, but what I will tell you is, and what I do remember distinctively is my man saying, "quote I broke your face." So if he broke your face before, there's no reason for me to think that he won't break it again. Evan Mobley reminds me of Chris Bosh. That's who he reminds me of. Except potentially a better defender. That's who he reminds me of. No doubt. That's exactly who he reminds me of. No, I will not admit that to you, sir. No. Why? Let me ask you a question. Why should I admit that? Why? Did you see the evidence that I presented? And not only did you see the evidence that I presented, sir, when I said that Russell Westbrook was a better ball handler, do you remember exactly what I said? Because I can tell you. I said Derrick Rose is, I said Russell Westbrook is a little nicer with the pill. I'm pretty sure I said that. But to listen to you dudes, it's not even a question. Derrick Rose, and it's a wash. And I have a difficult time talking about that. I don't need to show any. Why do I need to show video of Derrick Rose? I don't need to give evidence of Derrick Rose. I didn't say Derrick Rose was nicer with the pill than Russell Westbrook. I said Russell Westbrook was a little nicer with the pill, and here's why I think that. Why do I need to show Derrick Rose? Because Isaiah Thomas ain't kissing the ring. That's why. He'll never kiss the ring. He'll always look at Scottie Pippen like he's less than. Always. Always. Well, first of all, sir, it's not my job to prove your case. So when we go into court, if I say that this person is innocent, this is why I think they're innocent. I'm not gonna present you with evidence to counter that. That's not my job. No. The burden of proof is on you. This is why I think he's better. Bam. And this is why I think he's just a little bit better. Bam. I don't have to show you why. No, that's not my job. Why is IT not on any? Oh, why? That's a good question. Why isn't Isaiah Thomas? Because I'm pretty sure he got some looks before the season started. He had mentioned that there was a number of different teams that were interested. So I wonder what happened. That's really interesting. He had mentioned that he had a number of different teams that were interested. So did he go? Did he go in and have workouts and they decided, no, I think we good? So Scottie Pippen was awesome. So the whole notion that he was all right, and the reason why people say that he was all right because he was running with Jordan, and that was the standard. That's how people viewed him. So I think Andre Drummond has a shot, but I think that as of right now, that honor is looking like it's going to either Carmelo Anthony or Tyler Hero. That's what it's looking like. That's who it looks like it's going to. Wait, are you saying people have to be able to back up their opinions? Yes, they do. That's not my job. Chris, you're absolutely wrong on that. Take it light, brother. Good to see you. No, I doubt the cat gets traded. Depending on what Minnesota does this season, I think that they're going to be. I think that they're going to be better than advertised. Yeah, I do. Clarkson got a real good shot too. But what Tyler Hero doing and what Carmelo Anthony is doing with them dudes, if the Lakers are what I think they are, and they're going to end up at the top of the Western Conference, it's going to be tough to pry that Six Man of the Year award away from Hero. Clarkson got some competition this year, no doubt. Definitely. Darrell, did you watch them last night? They look bad. And you know the ironic thing? The more I watch Valanciunas, the more I'm ready to. I want to shake somebody because this dude is gonna rot away down there. You know he leads the league in rebounding. What is he doing down there? He should be on Brooklyn. How much could he help Brooklyn? Right? How much could he help Utah? How much could he help Memphis? Teams like that. Man. Why did you say Dame has better accomplishments than Kyrie? Because he does. Kyrie won the NBA championship. I won't fight that. That's a big deal. He does. He did do that. But Valanciunas is not on Memphis. Valanciunas is in New Orleans. Kyrie won Rookie of the Year. Dame won Rookie of the Year. Kyrie is an all-star 7 times. Dame is an all-star one more, I think 6 times. Dame won the three-point contest. So the logic is Dame won the three-point contest. So he a better three-point shooter. I'm sorry, not Dame. Kyrie won the three-point contest. So he a better three-point shooter than Dame. Is that correct? Is that what I'm understanding? So with that logic, Dame won the skills competition. He nicer with the pill than Kyrie. He did that one time. Okay, great. Keep going. What else? And I can counter that with Dame, and I can counter that with Dame made the All-NBA team 6 times. Kyrie did it 3. You know that Dame finished in the top 5, in the top 10 in MVP votes 5 years in 10 times, 5 times in 10 years. You know how many times Kyrie did that? 0. We already know that Kyrie has a ring. That's not news. We already know that. That's not news. We already know that part. But it's debatable. Why does this keep popping up like this? What is this? I don't understand why this keeps doing this. That's exactly what it is too, John. I can too. I can too. No, he won't. 29. No, he will not. First and foremost, Tracy McGrady. Do you know that Tracy McGrady never got out of the first round of the playoffs? Never. And not only did he never get out of the first round of the playoffs, you know that team that went to the NBA Finals that lost to the San Antonio Spurs in 7 games in 04-05? You know that Tracy McGrady was up 3-1 on that team? Couldn't close the deal. Couldn't. Him and Tracy McGrady are not in the same category. No, they're not. They are not. What are my favorite Jordans? The 6s and the 13s. Those are my favorite ones. No doubt. I remember when Jordan first came, this was in the 91 playoffs, when he had the white drawers on with the white shirt and the black 6s. I was like, yo, what are those? He just looked so clean. I don't know. You tell me, were they? Is CJ McCullough better than anybody that Tracy McGrady played with? Is Nurkic better than anybody that Tracy McGrady played with? How about Covington? Is he better than anybody that Tracy McGrady played with? Because it ain't like Dame was running around with bomb squads. You are aware that he didn't have one other all-star. He didn't have any all-stars, though. That's the difference. I have Utah, Joseph, at the top of the Western Conference at the end of the season, just like I did last year. I do. Yes, sir. You know, it's interesting, man, because I don't know who's in here, John. I really don't. So when I talk to people, I talk to people based on, what they're talking about to me. So I've said this in the past, and I stand by it. Being an all-league performer, being an all-league defender, those things are very important to me, man. Very important to me. Tracy McGrady had to have something, my man. He had to. But to answer your question, if he didn't have those guys, I don't know. So if you're taking those guys out, then who are you putting in? Who are you putting in if you're taking those guys out? Not to mention that Trailblazer team was very similar to the Trailblazer team from 3 years ago when they was in the West Finals. Only except everybody else got better. What's up, Drew? How you doing, brother? Rush. Who was T Mac's best teammate? It was Grant Hill, and Grant Hill got hurt. So Grant Hill was not that dude. He wasn't the dude he was in Detroit. For the not the Trailblazers, for the Warriors, I think they dope. Yeah. Please don't leave that out. Not only did he have Yao, when he was in Houston, I think it was the year that the Celtics won the NBA championship in the 07-08 season. They won 20 straight games. Utah bounced them in the first round of the playoffs. They didn't lose. Utah bounced them. Cameron, what's up, brother? Absolutely, they got a chance. As long as you got Kevin Durant and you got James Harden, yes. I think they need to beef up that middle because they need a dirty work guy in the middle. But other than that, yeah, they said NBA, yeah, 20. They won 20 straight games that season in the 07-08 season, 20 straight. Utah bounced them in round one. They didn't lose in round one, Darrell. Utah bounced them. Like, get out. Goodbye. What kind of value do you think that Blake? What kind of value do you think Blake has? Hmm. As of right now, what kind of value do you think he has? That's exactly what happened, Jersey. And Doc Rivers was on the record saying that he screwed that up. Doc Rivers said that he absolutely screwed that up. Juke, let's hold up on Shea being better than Booker. Let's let Shea been in the league. Book been in the league for 6 years, man. He in year 7. He's averaged over 26 a game over the last 5 years. Let's hold up on Shea being that dude. We should be comparing Shea to younger guys like Luca and Ja Morant and guys like that. Let's hold a phone on dudes that are established. Shea is not established yet. We don't know who Shea is, so let's not overrate him. Maybe. I don't think you can get a 1 for Blake Griffin. I will tell you that. I'm digging Trey. I think Trey is right on the borderline. If not, I think he's an elite offensive, not just an elite offensive player. I think he's an elite point guard. Absolutely. I'd like to see him be better on the defensive side of the ball, but offensively, his ability to score, his ability to shoot, his ability to play make, absolutely. I actually had him before the season started. I had him as my dark horse league MVP. Depending on what Atlanta did, I do think the Lakers figure it out this season. It's just going to take some time. That's all. Because he's small, that's not a problem. I mean, Muggsy Bogues was actually a really good defensive player. Stockton wasn't huge. Stockton was 6'1". Stockton was an elite defender. So, yes, sir, he did. He was 25-9 last year. Well, for one game, Chris, you think he's so? Let me ask you this question with Shea. What kind of player do you think he is? Do you think he's an elite player? Do you think he's a what kind of player do you think Shea is? You think he's an all-star this year? Or do you want him to be just recognized? Do you want people to just recognize who Shea is? What's your take on Shea? Where do you think he is right now in the NBA? Let's just not even with overall players, with point guards. You think he's a top 10 point guard in the game right now? You can definitely make that argument that Trey is the best passer in the game. Is Jared Allen an all-star? I don't know if I'll go that far, but what I do know is that Cleveland team is a lot better than what we gave them. They're a lot better. I thought that they were going to be around the 11, 10, 11, 12. I thought they were going to be around that area. You know, maybe a game out of the play-in tournament, but I might be wrong on that. Well, I get down on the Nets. You already gave them up. Yeah, you already gave them up, so yeah, they did. Leaning toward Garland might be the best move. All right. Sexton does well. I think as of right now, Sexton is, I think he's 4 assists. So he's definitely more of a scoring guard. He does not pass. That's Garland. Garland is that guy. No doubt about that. Mm-hmm. Think about that for a second. So you got your star center for the next 5 years, basically a bucket of extra crispy in a 6-pack. Houston, big pain. What about what he did against Jamal Murray? Shutting the door on him. How about that? Mm-hmm. Russ running down Russ running down the gut. James smacking it into the third row, pinning it on the backboard. What's up, BOP? How you doing, brother? Jamal was young. So? See, that part, Chris. I won't listen to that. Let me tell you why I'm not listening to that. I'm not listening to that because because the same reason why it's such a double standard, man. Because Ja is young, and you guys want to anoint him as that guy. Jamal is young, and he gets dominated in the fourth quarter. He's young, but if he would have kicked James's ass, it would have been something completely different. So which one is it, man? What has Ja done in the playoffs? I mean, he wasn't great last year. I do know that. Didn't he have a 40 piece? I mean, but they did. The only reason why Utah didn't sweep them was because they held Mitchell out in game one. If Mitchell plays that first game, that series is over in 5 games. Done. I'm saying that series is over in 4 games, not 5. Right. He dropped 50 in the first round. And him and Donovan Mitchell went toe to toe. He wasn't young then, but he goes against James and he was young then. Nah, man. Can't have it both ways. I don't know exactly what the story is with Zion. And I think I've mentioned this to you in the past about Zion and his foot injury. I had this foot injury. It's a 2-month injury. He had this surgery. Apparently, he had this surgery in July, August, September, October, November. We in month 4. What's the problem, man? What's the problem? I don't get it. I really don't understand it. It's been 4 months now. Your 5th metatarsal bone. I said this to you before. That's this bone in your foot. If this is your foot, that's this bone right here in your foot. And he cracked it. That's a 2-month injury. That injury is not a 6-7 month injury. No, it's not. So that was it. No, I'm not letting. No, no. It was added juice. So when they run up on it, so when they run up on the Lakers in the West Finals, they were out of gas. Is that your logic? Is that the logic? So by the time the Lakers saw them, they were out of gas. Because it sure didn't look like it. I mean, they did win 2 games. I'm sorry, no, they didn't. They won 1 game. I think they beat Denver in 5. Just like the Lakers beat Houston in 5, and they beat the Trailblazers in 5. So, which means, Big Pain, if anybody should have been out of gas, the Lakers should have been out of gas. Those are the guys who should have been out of gas. Absolutely, Big Pain. No doubt. For me, the Spalding, the grooves in the ball were thicker. So I dug shooting with the Spalding as opposed to with the Wilson. The leather felt different. The grooves in the ball were thicker. So I dug shooting with the Spalding. Absolutely. And the reason why the Lakers got all the rest is because they handled their business. But they still were James was still one of the oldest players in the game. So you want me to understand the logic that Denver was going 7 games with the Clippers and this team in Utah, so they were out of gas. They had a bunch of young guys. In fact, that's your argument. They were young guys, so they shouldn't have been out of gas. It might be, man. It might be easy matchups for it. It's always like that, though. I have such a problem with that, man. LeBron can't win. There is no way for him to win with people like that. There's no way for him to win. If he wins, well, you should have won. That team was young. And if he didn't win, well, how could you not beat them? How could you not beat them? And it's always both ways with him. But if it's anybody else, they were awesome. Never. This is why I think he's the best that I've ever seen, because I've never seen anybody have to deal with the amount of scrutiny that he's had to deal with, the amount of pressure that he's had to deal with, the amount of hype that he's had to deal with, and still deliver. I've never seen that, ever, in all my days. I like OBJ. I like OBJ. I like ODB in Kansas City and in Green Bay. I like those two. Chris, you are aware that every finals that he's been in, I think 8 of the 10 finals that he's been in, his team's been the underdog. Did you know that? So you keep talking about, because I can tell you right now, that 2016 finals did not go his way. No, it did not. Let's make sure that we clear on that. That didn't go his way. What about the 2017 finals or the 2018 finals when game 1, where he went 51-8-8? That didn't go his way. And he still did work. But he doesn't get a pass for that. No, he doesn't. No, people don't give him all the excuses. In fact, Chris, it's people like you who destroy him. You were the same. Prime example is what you just got finished talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. What you just got finished talking about. They beat Denver. Well, that team was young. If they would have lost to Denver, you would have been like, they couldn't beat Denver. Denver's weak. You would have roasted him for that. I'd love ODB in San Francisco. Absolutely. I don't know if it would work with him and Jimmy G, because would that be similar to Baker and him? I don't know, but and that's the same thing that you say when he wins. Well, he should have won. And when he loses, why didn't he win? You do the same thing. So that pendulum swings both ways, brother. You do the exact same thing. And in fact, you just did it. Denver was young. And if they would have lost to him, how could you not beat Denver? So it's the same thing. That pendulum swings both ways, my man. The problem that we're having with that, though, John, even though that's absolute fact, what you're talking about, the problem that we're having with that is everybody that's watching, they got the temperature on the food on high. They don't want the food to cook because it's not going to cook. They got the gas on high. They got the oven on high. Let's go now. And when the food comes out burnt or when the food ain't cooked, now all of a sudden, yo, this food sucks. Well, if you would have cooked it a little bit longer, if you would have followed the directions, maybe it would have came out a little bit better. It's not going to work, Darrell. No. You got to turn the oven on at 450, and you got to put that roast in the oven, and you got to let it sit there and let it cook. But you can't just let it sit there and just leave it. No, you got to watch it. You got to turn it. And once you take care of it, when it comes out, yes. As opposed to, I'm going to put it on 450 and I'm going to just leave it there. And then you come back in 2 hours or in 3 hours and it's burnt. You're like, damn, what happened? You're not taking care of it. That might be true, John. When I look at, I hope that he's not. I hope that he's not what everybody thinks he is, which is a guy who's going to have weight problems for his entire career and he's going to be injury prone. I hope that that's not the case with him. I really do. I really do. I got Argento. I got Evan Mobley as my rookie of the year. He reminds me of Chris Bosh. That's what he reminds me of. That's fact. Yeah, this LeBron hate, man. Not hate, because I don't use the word hate. Hate is a strong word. I do not use that word when I think about hate. But the double standard is what bothers me. Like, this dude can't do nothing right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, this dude, he can't do anything right, man. And whatever he does, I mean, this is a guy who's taken his career into his own hands because the standard that you guys have set for him, which is excellence, the standard of excellence, which is winning, and that is put into the hands of the organization who hasn't done a good job at it, and he's decided to take that into his own hands. But he does that. It's not organic, and because it's not organic, we can't respect it. You guys don't respect. You don't respect it. I do, because you're not going to hold me to this. And when I take matters into my own hands, you get upset with me and try to change the rules. No, that's not the way that works. No way. That was his first season at Duke. Yes, sir. That was his first season there. Mm-hmm. That is correct. Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm really interested in this Miami Utah game tonight. This should be good stuff. Absolutely. It should be really good stuff. I'm really interested to see this. Mm-hmm. I know that Kyle rolled his Duncan rolled up on Kyle Lowry ankle, so I don't know if he's gonna go tonight. And I'm really interested to see if he'll go. Knowing Kyle Lowry, he may go. They may sit him strictly because Miami is looking. They looking at the long ball. Fox hasn't been as consistent as I'd like for him to be. His numbers are down from what they were last year, and I'm surprised with that. And I know we just got started, so we'll see what it is later on. But as of right now, I'm not disappointed in him, but he's got to pick it up. No doubt about that. Yeah. What's the holdup, James? I mean, how many teams has he been like when you think about what happened with Steph Curry? I'm sorry, Seth Curry. Seth was able to stick. You know, what happened with LaMelo? He was able to stick. I mean, how long has it been with Jello? Is he not ready? Can he play? Can he play at this level? What's the story here? Not the way he's playing right now, Brian. I don't. Not the way he's playing right now. And I think that MPJ is definitely pressing. When I'm watching him, he's pressing because I think he's looking at that contract and thinking, I got paid, so I got to do work and I got to show that I'm worth all this money instead of just they paying you on potential, my man. They ain't paying you because of what you've done because you haven't done much. That's what they paying you on. That's what it's looking like. It looked like he took that bag, but I think that he's going to turn it around. Like I said, he's pressing right now. That's what it looks like to me. It looks a lot like he's pressing, and that's hampering his game. Definitely hampering his game, and he's not going to be a guy who's going to be tradable. Not with that contract. They just signed him. They just signed him. So absolutely not. I disagree with that Dame thing. I ain't saying that Dwight shouldn't have been on the list. Absolutely not. I am not saying that. It's got to be at the expense of somebody else. It can't be at the expense of Dame. Nah. Mm-mm. Rudy Gay is a good pick. The problem, James, is that you know what the G League is? The G League is turning up the stove, rushing him. You know, this whole when did he get in trouble when he was at UCLA? What was that? Was that 2016? Something like that? When that happened? When he was at UCLA, when they were over in China, when they got themselves in trouble? And he played that one season. So, I mean, he didn't even play. I mean, how are they handling him? What's the story with him? Can he play? That's the $1 million question. That for me, that's the $1 million question. Can he play? Because it's obvious that Lonzo can play, and it's obvious that LaMelo can play. That's obvious. That's not even without a question. This kid Jello, can he play at this level? Forget the notion, can he make the squad? I'm not with that. Just putting him in the league because he's one of the Ball brothers, and I don't care about that. Can he play? That's where I'm at with it. Guarding at the NBA level. That's and if you can't guard at the NBA level, you better be able to do something exceptional. That's the difference. Because everybody in the NBA is a great athlete. Or they're great at something. That's why they stick. That's the difference. That's why they stick. So when I'm thinking about a guy like Jello, what are you great at? What's going to keep you, not just get you in the door, what's going to keep you here? That's my question. No, I don't think Shanahan is on the hot seat. Mm-hmm. Did he not get a shot in Charlotte, or nah? Because if he didn't, I'm not saying that he didn't, but I want to know. Yes, Big Pain, you are wrong for saying that. Because Sidney Moncrief was hell on the wing. Gary Payton was hell on the wing. Michael Jordan was hell on the wing. Dennis Rodman was hell on the wing. LeBron James was hell on the wing. I won't even talk about Scottie Pippen. The most underrated aspect for NBA players and D1 players and D3 players is professionalism. Because you have to be great at something. Because when you get to that level, everybody can run fast and jump high. Everybody. So what uniqueness do you have? What do you bring to the table? Are you an elite scorer? And if so, can you score at that level? Are you an elite? Can you be an elite defender? What do you do that makes you stand out from the rest of everybody else? Because everybody, when you get here, does what you do. Everybody. So he's on their G League team. Well, I'm going to be paying attention. Well, Ian, the way the question was posed to me was it was 2004 Garnett, 2008 Kobe Bryant, 2011 Dirk Nowitzki. And my logic was what the demise was of each of these people. I already knew what they had done individually, but Kevin Garnett in 2004, his demise was Kobe Bryant. That was the logic that I was using. But then I'm thinking, well, if I'm using that logic, I got to do the same thing with Bryant in 2008 because his demise was Kevin Garnett. What he had done that season, absolutely. Because let's not mistake, Bryant did win the league MVP in 08. Garnett won it in 04. So Garnett led the league in rebounding also. And he also averaged 2 blocks a game. But they got served by that Laker team starring Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal in the West Finals. So fast forward to 2008 to 2008 Kobe Bryant, because that's who we're talking about. We're not talking about 2006 Kobe Bryant, or we're not talking about the all-time great Kobe Bryant. We're talking about 2008 Kobe Bryant, who was 28, 6-5 that year, and who was 30, 5-5 in the playoffs and led the playoffs in scoring and won the league MVP, which, by the way, they did everything that they could to give that to Chris Paul, but it just wasn't going to work. There was no way you could keep it away from Kobe. There was no way they could do it. But with that being said, he had done all of those things that season, which wasn't much different than Garnett. So now what we're talking about, are we talking about a better player overall? Are we talking about a better player all time? Or are we talking about a better player that year? Just that season. Because remember, Kevin Garnett that year in 2008, he was the only player on that Celtic team to average 20 a game, and he led them in rebounding in the playoffs. And he was Defensive Player of the Year. And they bounced the Lakers. That was my logic. And he bounced him on a bigger stage because let's not forget, the Lakers were up in that series. So I did see that McDavid goal. That was awesome. In transition by three guys, he's really good with the puck. He's really good with it. No, I think they recognize what the game has become in terms of a skill set, in terms of athleticism. We all do. There's no way that you could watch the game today and not see the athleticism and not respect it. Otherwise, you a clown. To watch the athleticism today and go, yo, those guys are superior, or guys in the 80s and the 90s, guys in the 80s are still superior. I would never say that. But what I would say is I still think that those guys can compete with those guys today. But it appears to me that the athletes today look like the better athletes. That's what it looks like. You have to be able to do that. Athletic enough to hang. Yep. You got to be able to guard a starter. Ideally multiple positions. You don't necessarily have to knock down an open three, but you've got to be able to knock down open shots. If you're an offensive player, I should expect you to knock down open shots. Absolutely. No doubt about that. Mm-hmm. And number 5, you got to be professional, because there's going to be a time when you, as a young player, if you aren't thrusted right into the lineup, you're going to be brought along slowly. So what can't happen is you can't sink into the bench. You can't sink into sulking, because that's going to bury you. So you have to be professional. You have to be. I would love to see Okoro back in the lineup. Absolutely. Because I think with him, he speeds up their transition game. He gives them another athlete. He gives them another defender. He gives them another scorer in transition. Yeah, absolutely. I would love to see him back in the lineup. And I think that he could crack the lineup once he gets back healthy. Sure. So if that was Wilt's average 20, let's say Wilt was 29 and 18 today, right? Let's say that was the case. I mean, what are we talking about? If Wilt on a nightly basis was 29 and 18, and by the way, they record blocks too. So what's he look? What does 29 and 18 look like today? If I'm 29, 18, and like I said, they record blocks. So let's say Wilt is 3 blocks a game. What is he? A psychopath. That's how we talking about. That's how we talking about. That's how we talking about almost a 30 and 20 guy. He's a psychopath. I said, when you think about it, that's nuts. So, and I wasn't even going, and James, I wasn't going as high as 17. I was going to say, like, let's say 4 or 5 blocks a game. So let's say he's 29. Let me get my, I'm sorry. Let's say he's 29, 18, and 5 blocks. How are we talking about Wilt if those are his numbers today? How are we talking about Wilt with those numbers? Every game. Every game, absolutely. Because we need to find out what's going. Do we need to raise the basket? Do we need to widen the floor? What's going on with this guy? Because this can't be correct. So, because my man just said he's 29 and 18 with the numbers adjusted. So that's basically 30 and 20. That's what that sounds like. And we took and blocks are recorded today. And by the way, Wilt can pass too. So how many assists are we giving Wilt? Are we giving him 5, 6 assists? Because he did lead the league in assists at one point. So he's 20. So I'm gonna get Jude to do it. I'm gonna get to you in a second because I'd like to talk about that. I was very much interested in Miami's rotation the other night against Boston, but I'm gonna get to you in a second. So he's 29, 18, and 29, 18, 4 assists, and 4 blocks. How are we talking about Wilt today? Yes, sir, he did. And you know why he led the league in assists instinct? He led the league in assists because the media said, quote, all you want to do is score and you don't pass. He's like, oh, you don't think I pass? Okay, so we're going to get to the bottom of that. And he didn't lead the league in scoring. I mean, he didn't lead the league in assists for like a couple of weeks just to show that he could pass. He did it the entire 82-game season. Yeah. Think about that for a second. So how are we talking about a guy today that's 24, 24, and 8 assists? That's why when I hear people talking to me about they roasted me when I got Wilt in my top 5. They're like, man, Wilt is I'm thinking, all the major records in NBA history, all of them got Wilt's name attached to them. All of them. There's no way that if Wilt was involved with a woman who was on the U.S. Olympic volleyball team at 6'4" and had a 38-inch vertical to procreate with Wilt, and what kind of athlete are we talking about? That sounds like that don't even sound correct right there. Facts, James. That's really it in a nutshell. Absolutely. Now back to this rotation the other night with the Miami Heat, and the Boston Celtics. Well, it's interesting watching that game because I don't think the rotations were the problem. I think the Miami Heat got out Miami Heat. Boston did what Miami is great for doing. They locked down, they manned the paint, they rebounded. They pushed Miami around more than I've seen them pushed around in quite some time. I was impressed with that. I was absolutely impressed with that. That was something that I haven't seen in quite a while. So I think that if the Boston Celtics, once they get these roles defined, I think that I had, before the season started, I had them 5th in the East. I did. Mm-hmm. So that's basically it in a nutshell. You can definitely make that argument. And that's, well, from what I understand, Buckets he's a really good guy. Yeah, he is. He's a really good guy. But I mean, it's like anything else. I mean, nobody really appreciates getting their ass kicked. Nobody does. And we all have moments where you get in your feelings, and I think that was one of those moments where they kind of got dealt with, and Buckets didn't appreciate that ass whooping at all. So I don't know, John. I think John Wall had world class speed. I think he could have been I think he would have been an incredible 100-meter runner. Russ, I think he could have been I think Russ is a world class athlete also. Um, when I think about players like that, yeah. I did say that they were bad without Ben Simmons. They're bad without Ben Simmons because their floor spacing. They're bad because of their playmaking. They are 7-2. Absolutely, they are. And they're starting to figure it out. But it's early. It's still early. And this is going to be a problem going forward. I solely believe that this is going to be a problem going forward because I'm looking at that unit, and is Seth Curry going to be able to continue to be their playmaker? I love what Thibault is doing. I don't like what he's doing. I love what he's doing. Why is Harris out of the lineup? I think he's banged up, but this may be a problem going forward, man. I don't know what exactly the story is with them. Steady, we ain't even a month into the season. You didn't tell me anything. Whatever you told me, it's not proving anything. We're not even a month into the season. We 8 games into the season. Can we relax? I can see. Well, let's have this conversation again in January. I don't know who Cade is, Ian, to be honest with you. I saw him a couple of nights ago against Detroit. I'm sorry, against Philadelphia, and he looks very athletic. He looks like he can get to the basket on anybody. When I saw him at Oklahoma State, I loved his mid-range game. I still think that he could be I think he could be an elite defender at some point. He reminds me of a lesser version of Grant Hill. That's what he looks like to me, but we'll see. It's too early for me to say that Detroit got this wrong. It's way too early, or whether they got it right. How many years do you think it'll take the league to get a player with a career that we can include? Well, it's interesting, because when you talk about generational talent, that's what happens. So when James is on his way out, there's going to be somebody right behind him. So that's going to be another generational talent. There's going to be somebody right behind, like there was somebody right behind Jordan. That was Bryant and that was James. So when Bryant is already gone, and now I don't think James plays. I think James plays maybe another 2 years. He'll be 37 in December. I think he plays 2-3 more years tops. I doubt that he plays that long. And there's going to be somebody that's going to take off. I don't know who it is, whether it's Giannis, whether it's Luka, I think Jason Tatum's going to be one of the best players in the game, if not the best player in the game at some point. I love his game. I don't know. I think that Jason Tatum can be an all-time great player. I do think that. Absolutely. I ain't ready to pull a plug on James Harden yet. This is just an adjustment period. If come February, if we still doing this, then this is something that has to be talked about, where James Harden may just be, for the rest of his career, a 18, 19 a game guy, which is nuts to me, to go from 26 to 19 or 18 or 17. It's not just Dame, though. So you see, that's the thing, man. It's not just him. If you look at that Trailblazer team, they look like the same team from 2018, 2019, only except everybody else has improved and they haven't. That's the problem. That's the problem. For me, with Jabbar, it was longevity. Jabbar was just unguardable for such a long period. He just did it. He did it at an elite level for a long period of time. For a long period of time. Jabbar averaged 30 and 15 for 8 straight years. Chamberlain, the only other guy who can say that he did that. Nobody else can say that they did that. Nobody. Khalifa, to answer your question, if you're asking about Giannis being a top 10 all time, well, I will tell you this. When I look at Giannis, so he just started year 9. So if I can get 5 more years, right? If I could get 5 more years of first team All NBA, and I can get 1 more championship out of him, I can get another league MVP out of him, and I could get another finals MVP out of him, and maybe another defensive player of the year. If I could get those things out of him in the next 5 years, we have to have that conversation. We have to have the Giannis in the top 10 conversation, because now we're talking about a guy who, over the span of 8 years, because he just won the league MVP twice in the last 3 years, right? He won the defensive player of the year. So over the next 5 years, if he would have won another league MVP, that would be 3 league MVPs in 8 seasons. To win the NBA championship again, that would be 2 NBA championships in 8 seasons and 2 finals MVPs and another defensive player of the year and a finals MVP. We have to have that conversation. I ain't saying that he in it. I'm not saying that he's in the top 10, but we got to start having that conversation. We have to. Just like with James, when he was in the 2012, 2013 season, after they had won it back-to-back years in Miami, when league MVP and finished second in the league in Defensive Player of the Year, and he was Finals MVP and won a gold medal. That's when it was, we got to start having this conversation about this dude being the best to ever do it. We have to start having that conversation. I dig Richard Holmes, man. I do dig him. I absolutely dig him. I thought that last season, wasn't he up for at one point he was playing like an all-league defender. I love what he brings. I'm trying to make sense of what the problem is in Sacramento, and I still think that it's on their bench. And I don't mean the players. Excuse me. Flo Hyman. Flo Hyman. I'm going to look that up, John. Mm-hmm. Do I think the Warriors could win it all? Man, it's going to be tough out west, man, because you got big teams. And I know what the Warriors are doing early. $1 million question is, can they hold up? Can they hold up? And can they continue at what they're doing? Can Jordan Poole continue doing what he's doing? Can Andrew Wiggins continue to do what he's doing? That's the $1 million question. And it hasn't been proven. I know that Steph can continue doing what he's doing because he did that last season. Draymond is the engine for that group. You take Draymond off that group and they suffer tremendously. So I think with Clay coming back this year is more of a, I think it's a transition year. Clay coming back is to show that I can hold up. He hasn't played in 2 years. So him coming back is definitely more of him showing that I could hold up. Next season is going to be, I got to get back to that elite level. He emptied it in that 55-point game. Yes, he did. I think the Jazz get them tonight. So you've adjusted the numbers, MB, and today Jabbar averages 28 and 13. That's Giannis, just so you know. Where do you have Giannis ranked in the NBA today? Where do you have Giannis? And by the way, MB, where do you have, and how many blocks is Jabbar good for? Because remember, Jabbar first 4 years in the NBA, they didn't record blocks. So they're recording blocks now. So, right? So if Jabbar is 28 and 13, how many blocks are we getting out of him? Are we getting 2 blocks, 3 blocks? How many blocks are we getting out of Jabbar? Okay, so he's averaging almost 3 blocks a game. So I think that leads the league. Almost 3 blocks a game. I think he leads the league. So he's 28, 13, and almost 3 blocks. That's Giannis. And where do you have Giannis? In the pantheon of players in the NBA today, where do you have Giannis? Because I got Giannis at the top of the list. I think he's the best player in the game. I got him at the top of the list. Eric Gordon, man. I ain't even thinking about Eric Gordon. That's where you have him at, Ultra. I got him at 1. You got him at 2. So he's either one that he's an elite player. He's either the best player or the second best player in the game. Mm-hmm. After 9 games, Charles, after 9 games, you would argue that Giannis is not top 5. After 9 games. Damn. Wow, that's pretty impressive. Wow, that is impressive right there. Man, I'm definitely in disagreement to that. No doubt about it. I completely disagree with that. And I love you. I love Leonard. Yeah, I absolutely do. Well, not only is Drew Holiday just got back in the lineup yesterday. No Middleton, no Divinchenko, no Lopez. So and they lose and they lose, which you guys remember that I said this. Losing PJ Tucker is huge. To let him walk out the front door and head to South Beach, I can't believe they let that happen. I can't believe they let that happen. That's nuts to me. I wonder what you're looking at when you look at Giannis. Because like you just said, you don't have him as a top 5 player. So what are you looking at when you look at Giannis? And what are you basing this off of? He has not had the consistency to be better than those guys. Just so you know, over the last 5 years, and I'm going to break this down for you, and I'm going to let you decide how you feel about this. Just so you know, over the last 5 years, right? Over the last 5 years, Giannis is 27 and 11. All right, 27, 11, and 6 assists. The year he won the league MVP, which was in the 18-19 season, he was 30, 14, and 6, and he was Defensive Player of the Year. And then last year, he was what, 29, and he was 29 and 14 last year. 29 and 14 last year, and they won the NBA championship, and he was the Finals MVP. So when you talk about the consistency, this is what he's done over the last 5 years. What kind of consistency are you looking for? What do you mean one playoff series? Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, Charles. So when you say what makes him a better player than them, let me ask you, let me pose the question to you, because when I think of what he's done, when we go back, like so the numbers that I just ran off to you, right? The numbers that I just ran off to you, and I want you to tell me if that was KD, who last year his team won the NBA championship. He led the playoffs in points, rebounds, blocks, and win shares. Coming into this season, what's the logic on KD? What's the logic on KD coming into this season? If he had done that, if he had done what I just said last season, and over the last 5 years, if those are his numbers, coming into this season, what's the logic on KD? Because that was Giannis. That was Giannis. So why you keep saying See, Charles, the issue that I'm having with you is what I can, whenever I get into these debates, right? The one thing that I can't argue, and I make sure that I'm clear on this, the one thing that I can't argue, facts. And for you to say that Giannis has been a solid player, when I think about a solid player, give me a solid player. Let's see here. Who's been a solid player? Jaylen Brown has been a solid player. Bradley Beal has been a solid player. DeAndre Ayton has been a solid player. Cat has been a solid player. Seth Curry is a solid player. For you to say Giannis is a solid player, that means that he's a little bit above average. OG Anunoby. Okay, I can get with that logic. Sure, OG. That's a little bit above. That's a little above average. Are you sure that you want to keep him there? Man. So. Well, it's about that time, guys. It's good to see y'all. What's today? Saturday? I'm sure I'll get with you guys real soon on here. But you could definitely find me on TikTok. But I'm gonna be back here. Let's see. Monday I'm on. I may be back tomorrow. But I'll definitely get with you guys again. Probably Wednesday the latest. Yeah, probably Wednesday the latest, no doubt about that. So Sel, what you got? Flo Hyman, I gotta remember that, John. No doubt. Hashtag. I gotta remember that. Yes, sir. Take it light. We take it.